AM 1170, The Answer, KCBQ.
Welcome back. I am Stephen Wener, your host for this evening's show. Thank you, Jason, on 1170 AM The Answer. And we have an incredible guest now going to fill in for some of the entrepreneurial needs that are out there for CEOs. We have Mr. Rick Itzkowich. How are you, Rick?
I'm doing great, Steve. Good
Awesome.
to see you.
I wanted to tell the listeners a super quick story because when I first moved here from Canada, I happened upon you talking about networking, connecting, and especially with a primary focus on BNI and LinkedIn. And that was about 2010. And then I didn't see you for years. And I was always impressed by being able to see what that kind of connecting can do. And then there was a mortgage lender that was putting on a seminar. And I happened to go there because you were specifically talking about LinkedIn. And I went not for anything other than I got to go see Rick again because it's been years. And your talk again on connecting was incredible. So I'm so glad we could have you on as a guest as well. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
And one of the primary focuses I wanted to talk about with you today is how you help CEOs. You are a Vistage chair. And for the listeners out there that don't understand what that means, please describe what Vistage does.
Okay. The number one job of the CEO and or the business owner is making decisions. And the whole idea behind Vistage is to help the members make better decisions by using a collective feedback loop, so to speak. It's having like a peer advisory board where you have people who are peers who actually walk in the same shoes as you do. They're not consultants. They don't have any agenda, but they understand the rigors of running a business and they understand the best practices, mistakes, fears, and then together make each other better CEOs, better business owners.
So for the listeners out there, what you're describing is you've got a bunch of CEOs in a room together and you've got people sharing what's going on in their work world and CEOs of other professions, but still dealing with the same issues, get to more or less fill in what they've gone through or provide solutions or potential answers.
Recommendations, different things like that, it sounds like?
Yeah. Our members all question, challenge, and advise each other on the tough strategic decisions that they're facing. They invest 1 day per month to learn from each other and to vet their opportunities and challenges. And it's a very powerful concept, and it really works. According to a Dun & Bradstreet study that was done, I believe, in 2015, the average growth rate for Vistage-led companies is 2 to 3 times greater than similar non-Vistage-led companies in their database.
That's a great statistic. And because
that's crazy.
It is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
How long have you been a Vistage chair?
I've been a Vistage chair for 4 years.
Okay.
I launched my group in 2013.
And you're talking to CEOs now all the time about what they're going through. So you've also probably got more or less a back pocket list of what you're seeing typically happen with these businesses. So maybe you can also share with the listeners what you're normally seeing businesses deal with.
Well, I have what it's called a small business group, and these are entrepreneurs whose companies range between $1 and $10 million in revenue, 5 to 50 people typically that they have in their businesses, which is the majority of the businesses in San Diego. And the one thing I can tell you, having been a business owner myself in 2 companies, is that most of these entrepreneurs, business owners, are wearing way too many hats. And they're working in the business, not so much on the business. Right. And as a result of that, they don't leverage themselves. They don't do what they should be doing, only delegating and or hiring other things that they shouldn't be doing, all because they don't think they can afford it or because other things. And at the root cause, my number one thing when I start working with my members is to find out what is it that you're doing that nobody else in your business can do or should do. And then let's start getting rid of anything and everything else, because that's what's really going to allow you to scale and grow your business and have a life. Many of these people don't have a life. They're working harder and harder. They have great ideas, great things, but as a result of that, they are just mired in the...
They're tough in the business, right? They're stuck in the business because problems happen in every business, right,
Every
Rick?
business.
Every business has issues. Things come up no matter what, and that's what's unique. We all have God-given talents, and if you can focus on your talent that nobody else can duplicate in your business and what your highest and best use is, that's what you're helping these business owners do, and then hire the right people at the right income and the different things you guys probably suggest on how to bring people in and how to interview. Very interesting. I appreciate you coming on.
I allowed myself to be a victim to that as well, because when I was growing my real estate business, I was wearing every single hat. And then time was something I couldn't replicate.
Well, and then there's the myth that as soon as, and put in whatever, as soon as, then we'll get to that. And
as soon as I make this amount of money,
Right.
and it never happens.
as soon
right?
as we sell this much, as soon as we hire this, as soon as we move, there's always the
Wow.
next thing.
That's a good, you need to write a book on that.
He did.
Yeah.
We're going to talk
It's
about
called
it.
As Soon As.
Is it really called? It should
No.
be.
No,
huh?
I should.
No, that's what I'm saying. It should be. I mean, Martine, one of our lenders at iServe, wrote a book on
Curiosity theory.
Yeah, so curiosity theory, and it's I'm curious about that. Tell me more, right? But soon as, I like the title.
Yeah, I like the title too.
All right,
Yeah.
you better. You know what? Before anybody else passes
Better
this
hurry.
thing, you better
Yeah.
hurry,
Yeah.
get that done.
It's already being trademarked. We've got
Yeah.
somebody.
All right, good. We got it on.
Well, some of the things that I did want to just touch on with that, because again, I can preach about this because I was that
I can
guy,
too.
right?
I wish I would
Right.
have had access to
Right.
this when I was running my businesses.
Yeah. I had no life. My wife would be right beside me, and I was just so involved in everything at all hours of the day. And at the end of the day, she would just close my lid, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm here too." And you get so involved in every piece of everything. And as you said, as soon as, but that never really happens. And one of my challenges, and I think many people can agree, is we don't think we can delegate in a sense where someone's going to do it as well as or better than what
So
we're
dealing
doing.
with that, Rick, what do you deal with the control freaks like Steve and I that are hard to give up that delegation, right? How do you handle that? And how does the peer group handle that?
Well, first of all, you mentioned something, Jason, that people from different industries, and one of the myths is that the people in your industry know what's best for your business. And here's the other thing I've learned talking and working with many CEOs is that I'm going to say 80 to 85% of every business is exactly the same. Maybe 10, 15 to 20% of any business is different. And the problem is when people in your industry get together and talk about your industry or experts in your industry, they all suffer potentially from a groupthink mentality.
Absolutely.
They all agree. They don't about certain things. Nobody asks the dumb questions that somebody who doesn't know anything about it will ask. As a result of that, it's very, very limiting. So when you find out that A, you're not the only one having this problem, or B, that somebody else has already had the problem and solved it in a totally unique, different way that you would have looked at it because you're not seeing it that way, that's when the possibilities start expanding. So in answer to your question regarding the control freaks, the reality is instead of trying to convince you that you shouldn't, I just point out the costs. Being a control freak has a tremendous amount of
cost you a couple $100,000 a year, or a couple
well,
$1 million, whatever it
or
might be.
your time.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to do it everything perfectly. Nobody can do it better. That's maybe not. But let's
And
assume
it
that
may
it's
cost
true.
your family. It may cost you your family, like
You
we were just
got it.
talking about, right?
Yeah, no,
You got it.
It was
So-
hard on my family,
Yeah.
for sure.
All we got to do is look at the costs. Most people look at the actual cost, and this ties into the earlier comment I made about people in small businesses who actually wear too many hats. And their thinking is, I cannot afford to pay somebody to do that. So that's an actual cost in dollars and cents. But there's another cost in business that every entrepreneur deals with, and that's the opportunity cost. Right. And the opportunity cost, for those of you who may not know what that is what would you be doing with that resource instead of doing this? So in this case, you may not think you can afford the cost dollars-wise, but the opportunity cost is what are you not doing that you should be doing? So, for example, if you're the rainmaker for your business and you are the, in a small business, many owners are, CEOs are, they're the ones bringing in the business. Well, then if there's nobody else doing that, that's all you should be doing. Because if you're not bringing in the money, that's what you get paid the most. And then I break it down with people and we says, okay, you say you can't afford it. Let's talk about how much are you getting paid? And let's find out how many hours a day, very briefly, how many hours a week are you working? And then, once you do that, you do the numbers, how much money are you making? And you find out that what you are getting paid to do when you're the rainmaker, if you're the attorney like you, Kathryn, when you're trying cases, it's a lot more than per hour than what you would be paying somebody to do some of the other things that you do and that you don't think you can delegate.
Right, the administrative stuff.
Like the administrative
things,
stuff or just some of the details that are just, that's a $15 an hour job, $20, $25. You're getting paid $150 an hour. Why are you doing this?
That's great.
1 hour that you're doing administrating at $15
sorry to interrupt, Ray.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to learn more about this, what do they do? How do they locate
Because
you?
listen to that passion in Rick's
Yeah,
voice.
no, I can hear.
You listeners should be picking up on this.
We're getting ready to go to break, so before we do, I want to give out this information. We'll give out again after the break. but-
you can reach out. My cell phone number is 858-752-3898. 858-752-3898.
So if you want to find out more information about this program, and you guys
it's
meet
called
once a month?
Vistage.com.
Okay, Vistage.
You can actually Google it and do that. It's a worldwide organization, 20,000 members, but locally here, I have a small business group. There's about 15 chairs here that can accommodate you. And Google us and then reach out to me.
Sounds great.
And before we go to the break, because you are so passionate on this and leveraging, you're also writing a book. Or you actually, I read through your book. I don't know if it's gone to publication
Well,
yet.
I finished the manuscript, and now it's all the back end of the book, which is probably going to be 10 times as longer than actually writing the book.
Can you delegate that to anybody?
It's done. No way I'm doing that.
And just before, again, we go to break, if you can tell people a little bit about what that book is designed to do for them.
Yeah, it's called the Sales and Referral Playbook. And having been in networking for so many years, I find that most people approach networking the same way they approach many other things, with a lot of effort, a lot of time, and certainly no strategy and no particular plays they can use to leverage, grow, and scale. And that's what the book's about.
And if the listeners heard that, leverage, grow, and scale, right? And I don't think enough of us entrepreneurs go in there with a vision, a real vision for what does this look like years from now? Because if you reverse engineer, that's the key to everything. How do you reverse engineer everything? And myself included, many times, I'm not looking at breaking down the result in the end into how do I get there and take my first step in the beginning. So look forward to exploring a bit more about the book, and then anything else that we can touch on, whether it's current events, real estate, mortgage, and of course, back to the USO. So Stephen Wener, Whissel Realty, 1170 AM, The Answer.